Okay, okay, okay. If you are listening to the podcast over there on Spotify or Apple or anything like that, then you can't see what I'm talking about because I'm over here. I don't get to see. I'm trying to do this lock thing or whatnot, whatnot. And so in my mind, I had a picture of what it would look like. Did it turn out that way when I got my initial little starter locks? And then I'm like, okay, I have that visual. So then I'm thinking this is how it's going to turn. It's not turning out like that. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm taking a little bit of turn because I think I'm going to go like part free form and then just getting a retwist farther and farther and farther in between. I'm calling it the 3 6 9 12 method. So I didn't mean for it to be 3 months, but that's how it turned out. But I'm glad that it turned out that way because I don't know what's going on, but I kind of like it, right? And so it's just like doing its own thing. So I figure, oh, I'm gonna go get a retwist because I feel like I just have too much that's free. And my hair's tangly, so I don't want to be like matted. I do want to have some kind of shape form to the locks. So I'm gonna do a retwist and then wait 6 months, right? Let it do its natural thing. Then I'm gonna do a retwist and I'm gonna wait 9 months, let it do its natural thing. And then I'm gonna do one more retwist. And then I'm gonna wait 1 year, let it do its natural thing. And then I think I might just, only attend to it once or twice a year. But let's see how that works. That's the plan right now when I know what's going on. So first I was excited. No, first I was afraid. So I wear some wigs and stuff like that. And I'm like, I think I can do it. Not realizing that there's a maturity process or whatnot. Then I didn't like it, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting used to it. Then I played around with it a little bit. And I always wear my hair up, and that hasn't changed. But when I wear it up, I put product on my hair. So I need to just focus on wearing it down more. And when I do put it away, to actually pull it back this way instead of putting it up, because it'd be messing with the hang, honey. Okay. Anywho, though, that I just wanted to share that little part. Again, I don't get to see myself like that often. I wanted to get locked so I don't have to spend time in the mirror doing my hair. I just, shake it out and move on, right? Because that's what you should be able to do if you want to. If you want to style it, you style it. But if you want to let it do what it do, you should be able to do that too. Anywho, you are listening to Shay's Pretty Skinny, the podcast. And if you're over here on YouTube, then you are seeing a bunch of nothing, okay, in full effect. But either way that it's happening, we're still doing everything except keeping it cute about self-love, resilience, and personal development. So everything we talk about somehow leads to self-reflection, right? And developing our resilience to be able to navigate this crazy experience we sometimes seem to have together, apart, or just, we're in our own worlds. But today I'm going to talk about something that is shaping our minds, whether we realize it or not. And it has a term, it's called illusory, illusory truth effect, right? And it's the psychological phenomenon where psychological as we start talking about this mind, right? And the power of this mind. And it's the phenomenon where something starts to feel true simply because you heard it over and over and over again. A lot like how, when it's Christmas time, you don't even like Christmas music. Maybe you don't even celebrate Christmas, but everyone's playing it on their radios, right? And you might find yourself in there taking a dump and humming them Christmas tunes, right? So with information, it happens the same way. It's not that you like the song, it's just that you've heard it so much, right? And with information, it doesn't have to be accurate, right? It doesn't have to be something that we've tested or experienced. It doesn't have to be something that we reflect on or that we examine deeply, but it becomes a part of us. And let me tell you, honey, the internet has definitely weaponized this familiarity with information, with experiences, right? So much so that it's becoming people's new characters. So maybe I'm not racist, but I see that it gets me traction online, so I'm gonna do racist things. Maybe I'm not a traditional wife, but I see there's a market for that, so I'm gonna wear the traditional wife hat. Even though I am not married, I don't have a man in sight. Okay. Maybe I do have a child, and so I could pretend to be this traditional wife who's staying home, making content and taking care of children. Because unless the camera's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? We're not really out here big brothering. We're just curating some content to get likes, views, and sometimes to cut some paychecks, right? That's the truth. Um, so we don't necessarily have to live a truth that we present. We just present the truth that resonates with individuals. And so once we see that those things are going viral, most people just kind of copy and repeat, right? So there's a lot of these funnel loops where you're getting exposed to the same thing. It must be true, right? So let's talk about the mind being rehearsed, because every day we're scrolling through this metaverse, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. I'm sure there's more. I'm an auntie, I'm my dukes. So there's only a few things. Oh, Facebook. There's only a few things that I really know about. Um, I'm still one of those people who want to touch my other world too, outside of the metaverse, right? But every day, those platforms, we have all of these platforms with algorithms that are studying us. Now, they say the AI is doing that. I probably just, haven't purchased the AI that does that. But the AI that I know about doesn't seem to be studying anything. It seems to just be collecting a bunch of data and spinning it back. You really need to know how to organize it, the thought process, the direction that you're trying to go in. You really need to be able to give it all of these details for the instructions to create exactly what you're trying. It has like no creativity. One time I tried that, I didn't have an idea like how I wanted the meme to look or anything. So I was just like, this is what I want to say, and then I give you full creativity on the visuals. So then it asked me for a photo to create a caricature. So I gave him the photo. Ciao. Why just use that photo? It was anywho, and so needless to say, I wasted some time on giving it, and I give you full creative control, right? And it created nothing. So then I still have to go in there and so anywho. I don't have the kind of AI that's accommodating in that way or making me dance and all that. I don't have all that. Okay. Anywho, though, these algorithms, they are being built to study us and to push us more of the content that we seem to be interested in. Why? Because advertisement is also attached to that. So there's retailers and people who want to get information out there. You're looking for these certain demographics, right? And wanting to be able to scale that right down to a location, a region, an age group, past purchases and things like that. So really, there's just a lot of data collection that's involved with our algorithm. So it's not necessarily there, even though people get on to educate others. That's not the purpose of the algorithms for our social media. Okay, we get on maybe to connect with family or to look up that ex and see what they've been getting into now, or to be nosy about our coworker at the job because they don't talk to us, or whatever it is. We're trying to get information. Maybe we just want to upload some photos of our grandchildren and brag about that. But whatever it is, that's not the purpose. It's been designed so that you will want to feed the algorithm data. So that's our part in this whole little system, right? And that means that when we're scrolling the content, when we're doing our doom scroll, trying to relax, right, then we are reaching content that if we pause on something traumatic, then okay, noted. let's push a couple more of those things and see if they watch it, right? Because it's about the watch hours too, not just always clicking on something, but how long you stay there engaging it or supposed to watch it. So that's why when I'm supporting somebody, I don't always see the content. Sometimes I have something else to do, but I put it on there. And if you loop it, I think it's supposed to count it as being watched, right? So you give that person some watch hours. Anywho, um, if we see something like we talk about dysfunctional relationships, and maybe we do resonate with what's being said on that, then we're going to get more about those type of dysfunctional relationships, right? Maybe it's just going to be more from that creator, that content creator, if that's what their content is about, or it's going to pull in other content creators who also talk about that topic. And if it notices that you're engaging, then I better put more of that in there, right? Because if they're scrolling too much, I can't get them to stop and be interrupted to watch and get this little product information that I'm trying to attach to the video. It's like commercials all over again on the social media. So it's not engaging for me. Anywho, if people are talking about racial violence, right? Because every now and then you got to try to kick that up a little bit, and media is usually really good at that. But now, since we're engaged so much with social media, it's better when you have people who you relate to. They look like you, they live in the same neighborhoods as you, right? And so you feel a little bit comforted in knowing that, not just seeing what's depicted on the news. So if we're pausing on that racial violence, we're going to get more of that racial violence. If we're pausing on things that create fear, we're definitely going to get more things that create fear. And after enough of that repetition, then our mind, it starts to say, then, this must be very prominent in the world, right? And you'll see that on in the comment sections too. Where has this world come to? Well, these behaviors have always been available, but not in our faces like this, not on a platform. So there could be a bumming going on somewhere, and we may not be aware of it because no one's able to pull out their phone and broadcast it and share it with us. No one's clip farming the news or anything like that, and using it as content for engagement. So we have more opportunity to be exposed than we did before, not necessarily that it's not happening. And if we were able to take a look at things that have happened historically, we may find that to be true ourselves, but we don't tend to do that, right? And so when we're getting that feeling in that picture of the world must really be like this, men must really be like this, women must be like this, because that's all the content that you're getting pushed, that's the world that you have curated, right? You have to ask, is the world really this way? Or is the environment I'm engaged in, the environment that I've curated in the metaverse, is that the environment that I'm a part of, right? Is it really the world? Or is it the algorithm? We're talking about this digital neighborhood in our little meta universe. So think that's a question that we'll hold in our mind as we just continue developing this topic a little bit, right? Because if something is familiar, then that's belief for us. And that's why when it comes to racism, you know, people are forming opinions based on what they were told or based on what they were experiencing. And who is anyone to discount someone's experience, right? It may not hold value for you because you didn't experience that. And so fatigue of anything, uh, I think anyone could be fatigued with their race, with having to live racially. It's emotionally draining. So I do understand being fatigued. It doesn't erase the experiences, right? It just doesn't hold value for those individuals who are fatigued. So we get it, right? And what's going to happen though is when things are familiar, that creates a belief. And then from that belief, that creates behavior, right? And then whatever our behaviors are, that's building our life. And that's how conditioning works. And so unless we're able to engage with each other, step outside of comfort zones, then we don't really know anything different. We just know what's told to us and what seems to be familiar, right? So now I want you to hear me clearly when I'm saying this. Being informed definitely matters. Getting experiences definitely matter. I often share an experience that I had with my college roommates. There were four of us to start, two white gals, a Vietnamese, and moi. I guess I'm Black. That's what people say. Okay. I'm American, Black American, whatever. So we're all in this dorm room together. And within the first 2 weeks, there's some differences. And I was in an all girls dorm, and we had a communal, like shared bathroom. So many stalls, a couple of showers in there. And then you would have that set up on like one hall or east and west, like that, right? So just maybe 8 girls, 10 girls. I can't remember the count, but you have to coordinate with this bathroom. And so it was not uncommon for the ladies to have their shower shoes because you don't want no foot fungus. Have your shower shoes, have a little shower bag that you take with you, some kind of robe or something to cover it up, maybe a shower cap if you did that, or some girls would wrap their hair in a towel. And then, so you go there, do your business in the shower. But typically, we didn't get ready in that bathroom, right? We go back to our dorm rooms. And so after a couple of weeks, my roommates asked me, one of the white girls, like, how do you get your hair dry so fast, right? Because I always come out, my hair is still done. Um, how do you get your hair dry so fast? I'm like, well, I'm not drying my hair every day. My hair has to stay dry while I take a shower. So I have to cover it up and then I uncover it when I come out. And they were like, huh? You don't wash your hair every day? No, I don't wash my hair every day. You have to wash your hair every day because you need to keep the oils out of your hair, right? I have to not wash my hair every day because I need the oils to stay in my hair. It would dry my scalp out and cause major problems. So that's the difference. They're like, oh, they thought I had a trick or a tip. And I'm like, I'm not fooling you. I just don't have to care for my hair in the way that you care for yours. And that prompted this whole conversation about stereotypes and things like that. And we just had a ball with that conversation and we all learned a lot about each other. Um, we ended up having some fun together as roommates, even though our one roommate that was Vietnamese, even though she was never like kicked out of our dorm, she always spent most of her time in the co-ed dorm. So she hardly ever slept in our room. As a matter of fact, one of my friends from high school ended up being in our dorm more than our roommate because she was just never there. But awareness, right? Engaging with other people, getting information and being informed, right? That's just one example. I say that I guess I'm using that because race seems to always pop up, which is exhausting in itself. If you already, live in the minority or whatever. Life is already what it is every day. So those conversations, in my opinion, are quite exhausting and I could skip them, right? I can have them as they come up in my environment with people who are truly trying to engage and looking for information rather than being concerned with the draining energy of people who only have the intention to hold on to this hate, right? And that's for everyone, no matter what you look like. So being informed matters, especially in communities where survival has often depended on awareness, right? Being aware of where you are, who you're with, and what time it is, right? But there's a line that can be crossed, right? Because awareness is protection. But when that awareness turns into hypervigilance, that's what's depleting. That's what's fatiguing, right? And that has a lot to do about what the nervous system. If our nervous system is constantly digesting injustice, betrayal, violence, lack, scarcity, chaos, then our body doesn't know the difference between witnessing and experiencing, right? And that's why some people feel exhausted after they're doing that doom scroll, right? Not lazy, not weak, right? Not activated. And this is where resilience can enter for us. Now, if we're looking at it from a resilient point and we want to build our resilience, then we could ask a question. And that question, resilience would be asking, can I stay aware without becoming consumed? Right? I know what's going on, but I don't have to go down the rabbit hole of consumption, right? That's really a grown question. And I'm only talking to grown folks. If you're not feeling grown, this is not the conversation for you, right? Because I'm probably not going to say what you want to hear. It's not going to resonate with you. And I'm all about being good to the nervous system. Now, some of us have privileges of inheriting stories, right? Some of us inherited narratives before the internet ever got to us. Um, and we inherited those stories by our experiences or by the projection from someone else, projecting themselves onto you, their idea about life and what they experienced onto you. That's how we get the mama issues, the daddy issues, the withdrawal, the isolation, right? That's how we get those things. So we inherit stories like love is hard or it's hard to love me. Okay. Um, I'm never gonna be rich or money doesn't stay. I'm not the kind of person that can inherit or have wealth, right? People always leave. That's that. I can't be loved. I'm unpleasant to be around. We can tell. Now, some of us are unpleasant to be around, and some of us have just been telling that story. So that's what we embody, right? Um, what other stories? Success has to come with suffering. I'm definitely in my comfort zone with that. Oh, you have to work hard, do that, right? Knowing better than that, but still not stepping out of my comfort zone. And let me tell you something. I've been in a position to be knocked out of my comfort zone and to step outside of it. I'd much rather step outside. I do not like what happens when I'm getting pushed out of my comfort zone. Oh, I don't like it. But sometimes it's required because I just get too comfortable. Anywho, what's another story? Oh, I'm Black. So a story I might get caught up with, or some other people who look like me, that we have to fight twice as hard for something, or I could be doing the same thing as the Asian person, the white person, the Latina person. I don't know, whatever, right? Someone different than me, but oh, it's not going to be received the same. Oh, they're going to get it easier than me, right? So let me be clear. Some of these beliefs are definitely coming from lived realities. It's not something made up, okay? But personal development takes us into a different mindset, a different perspective, right? And we have to ask ourselves if that belief serves us, even when we are the ones who have been in those lived realities, right? Because a belief can be understandable and relatable and still be limiting, right? And that's where healing gets a little bit uncomfortable because we have to get knocked out of that comfort zone, right? Not because we're trying to deny reality, but because we're deciding whether reality gets to define who we are and how we behave, right? And so that's choice. Those two things are different. And that's when we get to employ our choice rather than letting these people push buttons by what, oh, you're never going to be anything. Now, let anybody push that button on you. Okay, how do they know? They're not you. However, perhaps they may have some fear of them not being anything or not turning into what they thought they would turn into. And so, if they feel that they are better than you, then of course you could never be what you want to be if they can't be. You know, it's one of those things. If I can't have it, neither can you. And we both know that's a lie. Okay, so let's talk about some truths. Because resilience isn't pretending bad things don't exist or that bad things do not happen. That's not what it is. Resilience is filtration. Okay, so it's deciding um, what gets access to your nervous system. It's deciding choice, intentional choice, right? So we decide who gets access to our nervous system, who gets to push our buttons, and what stories get repeated for us to digest and hold internally, right? Shaping our internal world. And if we've talked or you heard me talk before, then you know that I believe whatever's going on internally is what's going to spill out externally. Okay. So before I absorb anything now, what should I ask? What can we ask ourselves? Is it true? Okay. Is it useful? Some things are true and it's not useful. Does this belong to me? Right? Because uh we're emotional beings and we could take on the emotions of other individuals. So is this even mine? Okay. And does this expand me or does this shrink me? And definitely had to ask myself this question in the current climate, right? Is it frustrating to see that people are fatigued with the blacks? It can be frustrating. Um, when you're a part of a group that people have identified as problematic, that's just how you're going to get treated. No one's evaluating you individually. And that, I guess, can get frustrating because I've been frustrated, but it also doesn't change how I'm going to engage. For me, I have way more experiences that are pleasant than I do that are unpleasant. As a matter of fact, most of my unpleasant experiences are on the internet. It's just being pushed to my algorithm, and not interested. Every now and then there's something I want to grab onto and be a little bit titillating. But that's just my personality. Anyway, when we're talking about is it true? Is it mine? Is it useful? Right? And is this expanding my world or shrinking my world? I don't like to talk about, racist individuals, but we know their world is a little bit tight. Like they really haven't experienced much. I met someone on a cruise and the family was telling them, oh, it was a carnival cruise too. And it was it was only a 5-day cruise, which is too long. But uh now, I took my daughter on the cruise because it was for her 21st birthday, and I was expecting it to be jumping and like party, party, party. And it wasn't. It was real. It was lackluster. It wasn't party, party, party. Okay. So I guess that's the old carnival. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I could have gone Royal Caribbean and moved on with my life. Um, because there was a bunch of uncorralled kids on there. Anywho, though, of all colors too. I'm sitting with this gentleman, because we all want a seat in the shade and all of his are not filled. So I'm like, it's only two of us. We're just gonna plop right here. He did not have a problem with it. But somehow we get into this conversation and he's just like, yeah, this is the experience was not what I was expecting. And basically, people are just kind of like, oh, it's going to be all those Negroes on the cruise, on that Carnival cruise. It's going to be such a bad time. They're going to ruin it for you. And he was having a great time. The people that he experienced were so open and inviting to him. Like nobody treated him like, oh, there goes that white guy, right? And that's what he was expecting, to be isolated and to be peered at based on the small world that he had been a part of. It was his first cruise. So I imagine after talking to him, he might be taking many more and really like enjoying it. And he said that he could not wait to get back home and tell these people how that was not his experience. It really opened up his world. And I was glad for him because I felt like maybe this was one of the first times he actually talked to some Negroes and he thought these are just human beings. So when we're asking ourselves questions like that, those questions alone can save us years of unconscious programming, just investigating for ourselves, right? And deciding, how is this, what is it doing to me? Oh my gosh, you guys. Because not everything that we witness is ours to carry. Okay, that's something else as well. Even the experiences, like as a Black person, every Black person's experience is not mine to carry. This is why I don't like videos, because I'm gonna be unscripted. I apologize. But everything that we witness is not ours to carry, even when it's passed down to us. So I know stories, about things that happen in my family, and I have to decide how I'm gonna handle that, right? Because not every truth deserves permanent residency in our spirit. All right. We talk about sovereignty a lot, and I think we just like using that word. But how do we free our minds? How do we get mental sovereignty? Because the how would we define that? Just the ability to govern our own world, to be intentionally choosy, right? For what's good in my experience. It's like when you look, okay, not that. Yep, bring this in. Less of that. You know what I mean? Oh, that's priority. That's mental sovereignty. What's really allowed to be internalized, to be socially conscious without being psychologically colonized, right? We've moved away from, you know, oh, this is my land, right? It's intellectual property, it's mindset, right? Being able to psychologically colonize, right? So um we can care deeply without drowning into something. We can support a cause without it becoming our entire identity. That is dangerous, right? That takes work, it takes energy, and it doesn't allow us to be balanced, right? Um, it takes stillness for us, it takes boundaries, and it takes choosing and checking whether our beliefs are chosen. That's what critical thinking is about in school. I remember as a Jehovah Witness, like they were saying, and I didn't grow up Jehovah Witness, so I think that's the difference between my experience and some other people's experience. But I just remember critical thinking as going to secular colleges and things like that was like, oh, it's ruining your mind. Mm, it's expanding, it's teaching you what's ownership, right? And it's expanding your world because if you're able to expand your world, it doesn't allow these little narratives to control you, right? So critical thinking is about saying, hey, did I choose this belief or is it being assigned to me, right? Um, for instance, do I only date this way because if I don't, then I'm a bad person? Who told me that I was a bad person if I dated outside of my race? Like little things like that. And I'm just using that as an example just because it's the climate of the times right now. And maybe because um it's a personal experience too. Remember that we see the world as we experience it, okay? And I am no exception to that, all right? But that's what we're looking at. That's why we're asking those questions, right? Because if repetition can program fear, it can also program healing. It can program discipline and self-worth and peace, confidence, our vision. And that is really the good news to what's going on there. Same tool, different application. All right. Magic, same tool, different application. Everything has its polar opposite. Prayer, same tool, different application. Or should I say different entity? I don't know. Different dedication, right? And so our mind is always listening to the things that we are saying, and we are always with us, even when we're not opening our mouths, we're telling ourselves things, right? But also to what's coming from our environments are as well. So it's important that we ask ourselves, what are we feeding this thing? What are we feeding this machine? Right? Because that's going to matter as to what it's spitting out. So I really want you to leave with this. When the internet goes quiet, what does your mind sound like? What stories are remaining? That's why I still have TikTok, because people make music for TikTok, right? Now, I already have music that I listen to, and I'm like, oh, that's drug trafficking. Oh, that's human trafficking. Oh, that's rape. Um, that song UAENO. You ain't even know, right? It's really you ain't even know. And then what's his name? Rick Ross coming there talking about how he enjoyed a lady's time intimately and she didn't even know. That's rape. That's roofie. That's like you put something in the person's drink or gave them some edibles or you pulled the ditty with the oils. You know what I mean? You didn't even know. And all of that is being said to a really nice beat because the track is hot, but the lyrics are very questionable, right? So we already have that music, and it's my intention to move away from it. So when I hear, um, I don't even know the words to it. I just know the end part, spin that, spin that. But apparently that song is about scamming. I haven't even listened to it for real, but because it will come up on a scroll, right? And all kinds of people are making these videos to it. I also think I initially was just thinking, oh, it's advertising a new brand. I never heard of Go Yard. I'm not a person who's interested in high fashion in that way. Or like Louis Vuitton. I'm not interested in those things. So I just figured, oh, this is a new advertisement. Now everybody's gonna start getting these bags, right? Because that's the vehicle. That's what's supposed to happen. It's being put into our subconscious. And because we want outwardly things that show that we are worthy or successful, then we have to keep abreast of, if you're that person, then we have to keep abreast of, okay, what's the going thing right now? And you have to make sure that you have it because keeping up with the Joneses is what's needed on the internet because people want to follow the Joneses, right? You don't want to be the person following. So you got to make sure that outwardly you present an image that people want to chase. All right. So, um, yeah, what does our mind sound like? What's on repeat in our mind? And does it resonate with what our values are, who we are, how we see ourselves living life, right? So what remains after we get on this internet? What remains after we make posts and have exchanges with folk? What remains? Is it the truth of us? And are those stories building us in a way that we will realize that big picture vision that we have for ourselves, right? Or are those stories burying our vision? Are those stories subtracting from us? Are those stories deviating us from the goal, right? So think about that. Because resilience is protecting your inner world without pretending that the outer world doesn't exist. That's why I always say isolation is very easy. It's the easiest for me to not deal with people, and I'm very happy. I'm very content. Um, but I couldn't talk about the things that I talk about if I had not engaged and had to deal with people and had to figure out, okay, these people pushing my buttons. Am I in control of me or are they in control of me? Right? Am I choosing or responding? And sometimes it's a mixture of both. I choose to respond, right? But I'm choosing how I respond. And I'm making sure that it is in a way that aligns with me. People sometimes when you're doing better for yourself, and I don't mean materially, I mean with your personal development, people are just more comfortable with the other individual for whatever reason. And so it's like just to prove, I'm gonna do this just to prove you, and they'll do the most. They'll do the most. You have to giggle. I had a guy, I was going, okay, the speed limit was 70. I was going 85, and they apparently were going, of course, faster than me. Because if you roll up on me and flash me, you're telling me I'm going too slow, but I'm already going 15 miles over the speed limit, which is already a ticket for reckless endangerment, I think. I think it's 15. It might be 10 miles, but it's already too much, right? So I'm like, wow, there's a whole clear lane over there. If you want to go faster than 85, I'm in the belief that you need to be the one. I don't need to accommodate you. Unfortunately, I'm already over the speed limit. So he got upset by that. And I think a couple of things happened. Um, he wasn't of the dark persuasion, right? He didn't seem to be of the white persuasion either, but male, okay, driving one of these little Honda Civics, 1997 Honda Civic or something like that, because I recognize it from the 90s. And it's making them noises, you know how it sound loud, but it's not doing nothing. It was that. And it's funny to me how he's in a hurry, but he finds enough time to cut me off and try to brake check me. But trust me, yeah, I could roll with you on the brake checks, and you might think you getting, and that's my thing. You have time to do all of that, and I'm laughing, and my window's down too, so I don't know if he could hear me or whatever, but I'm laughing. Like, I thought you were in such a hurry, like you're the one bothered by it, not me. That's what, but to not come outside and deal with people, I wouldn't even have to deal with that. But to be able to deal with that and not be upset or engage in this road rage or whatever, for me, is really some personal development. And I prefer that. It's like, okay, don't just talk about it, baby, be about it. You know what I mean? That's what I tell myself. Like, because sometimes when people receive me or they talk to me, I'm turned off by the fact that people say, oh, you're doing so. I mean, I am doing well, for myself and how I manage things. But baby, I'm not the blueprint. I'm not anybody's anything, right? Um, so that's why I find social media to be hard because I know the formula, but the formula doesn't fit my program or what I'm trying to do. And I don't want to create any kind of mini me's, right? I don't want to do that. I want to create grand yous, you know what I mean? Do you, because I found the most contentment and happiness in really being who I am and embracing that, being the weirdo that I like to be, even if other people not feeling very comfortable with it, even if other people, because sometimes I think family might be like a little bit ashamed the way they describe me or whatever, and people might not receive me very well, but I'm still going to be that person, you see? And I found the most peace in doing that. And so that's the kind of peace I want people to have. Will they have peace trying to do something like I do it? I'm not very sure of that. I'm not very sure of that. How will they have peace? I'm not very sure of that. But I'm very sure of the tools that I'm familiar with to get to that place, right? And I'm very sure of the people that I meet and what I think about them. And I know that they can experience peace in life. So and that's the agenda, if you were wondering what it was. That's why I'm not a polished person. I'm not a person who rehearses. I'm a person who likes to go in the moment. I love live presentations because people have so much to add. Otherwise, to me, just talking to the camera feels like you're saying the same thing over and over again. So I really do prefer more live discussions with people. I feel that there's much more depth and much more that you get from that exchange. But anywho, resilience again is for protecting your inner world, right? And being able to function in that outer world, knowing that people are going to present things to you, but I can still choose my beliefs. I can still choose my behavior, how I move, what I choose to digest and hold on to, right? I can still choose to shine my light. And if there are people who are trying to bust the lights out, I could choose how I'm going to deal with that and whether I allow those individuals to still be a part of my experience, right? So personal development is choosing your beliefs on purpose. And if you are a person this is interesting to you, maybe I'll post it here, but in the group, we're doing the uh 48 laws of self-love, resilience, personal development. And we're only on number 3, I think it is. So get over there because people ask me a lot, what is it? How do you really embodies self-love, right? And I think we don't talk about that much. We say that we should. We say, oh, you should love yourself, but we don't talk about what that really looks like in real time in everyday life, okay? Because everybody's not on a spa trip every day. Anywho, until next time, please protect your peace, question your patterns, and remember that your mind is sacred real estate. Okay. And property values only go up, baby. So be careful. Okay. Who you let come in and stage your property. All right. Who you let come in. All right. And do your, what do they call it? Is it street appeal? I think it's Street Appeal. Oh, I can't remember my HGTV days, but be careful who you let landscape your property. Okay? You've been listening to Shay's Pretty Skinny, and we're doing everything except keeping it cute about self-love, resilience, and personal development. See you next time.